Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchins.
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce a partnership with GoHunt.com. Who's GoHunt.com? Well, if you're a DIY hunter, you need the information at GoHunt.com/insider. Why? Because it provides 4,200 profiles, every unit, every species, and every season. Furthermore, they give in-depth analysis, interactive maps, unit access, and seasonal trends. Draw odds are very important, and they give you the most accurate information in the business. All this is available when you go to GoHunt.com/insider. Make sure you use promo code WR when you join Insider. You'll get a $50 gift card for GoHunt.com Gear Shop. All in all, if you're hunting out west in 2018, GoHunt.com Insider is where you need to be to get all the research information. When you use promo code WR, Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission from GoHunt.com.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. I'm with Sam Shaffer now. Sam is the CEO of Titanium Archery Products, and he hails from Pennsylvania. Sam, welcome to the show.
Hey Bruce, thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's exciting, and I'm really interested in finding out about your products and what makes them so successful in the field. You know, there's so many stabilizers. Let's just start with the stabilizer that you have, and there's so many products out there competing. So what's so special about your product?
Well, you know, to us and to our customers, there's several factors I would say that make them see and us feel that we have something special. And that's superior materials that we put into these products and the way these materials react to the bow shot. So if you're talking about being more successful in the field, any additional or little edge you can get is something that as a bow hunter myself, I want, and that's what we deliver to people. So you have a product that at its core gives you better materials and better performance. You should be able to take that into the field with you with confidence and actually apply it with more accuracy and better suppression of noise, better suppression of vibration. We make a string stop, for example, makes the bow quieter, less jump of, less reaction from game. Those are the kinds of things that I focus on because that's what I am. I'm a bow hunter. I started this because I've been bow hunting for 26 years now, and that's what I love.
You talk about being a bow hunter. So is this, you started the company more out of necessity or need or just ideas, or, tell me about that.
I looked at products that are out there. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of competition when it comes to stabilizers, when it comes to sights, rests, any product you can name, there's a lot of competitors. But I looked at what was out there, and I have a history in working with titanium alloy. Going back to about 15 years ago, I did work for a number of years on softball bats, developing modifications to create high-performance bats using titanium. And understanding the benefits that were available there made me realize in time that this could be applied to archery in some really significant ways. And archery is my real passion. I mean, I played softball for years, but that archery is what I'm really into. So in 2016 is when I really started to play around with the idea of a prototype stabilizer, because I looked at what stabilizers were out there and I thought, the majority of bow hunters are not putting any thought, for the most part, into their stabilizer. They take whatever their buddy uses or whatever the shop owner recommends or whatever they see some big name guy using, and they just throw that on there. But they're not really thinking much about what it does. Is it giving me much of any benefit? And I realized I can make a better stabilizer, a lot better stabilizer. So that's where it all began.
So when you're up in your tree stand, how important is the stabilizer in a 20, 30-yard shot? We're not talking out west shooting antelope at 100 yards with a compound. We're talking, 20, 30 yards.
No, we're not. And, the majority of people are not talking about that scenario. That's far and away, that is the minority. Here in PA, the average shot is 20 yards or under. I just shot a really nice buck last week. That was a 17-yard shot. So you're right. In a tree stand situation, I don't know that we're going to be able to tell you definitively that our stabilizer will give you a superior result compared to, say, a bee stinger or some other stabilizer, because you're taking such short shots. But what I have seen the benefits of with our products is that people are so enamored with what they are seeing in their target practice. So that's where we tell people, if you really want to see the benefits of a good stabilizer, you need to be shooting 40 yards and beyond. That's where you'll start to see shrinking group sizes. Well, if you're able to do that consistently on the target range, and you've developed a confidence level that is increasing, I don't see how that can not benefit you in the tree stand, even on those short shots. Because having that level of confidence in your equipment and how it will perform, and just having the feel is of a deadened bow and a quieted bow, gives you a high degree of confidence. So to me, that's where it comes into play. And I use a side stabilizer even in tree stand situations, ground blind situations. I think that's a big part too, and we can get into that at time if you'd like. But that's where I see it applying to your average everyday guy that takes shorter shots.
What I hear you saying, you go out to the range and shoot 50, 60, guys shoot 70, 80 yards. I know some guys shoot 100 yards, at the range, even though they'll never shoot any greater than probably 30 yards. They never will at our target, or short. I know I've got a good friend, Lauren Hamilton in Wisconsin. He just shot a doe the other night, and it was 7 feet from his feet. He was on a dead tree. He just snug up on a dead tree. Not even 5 feet off the ground, and doe walked right by him. And so he had recurve. I mean, just drilled the sucker.
Right. No, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Boy, yeah. Think about that. You can count the eyelashes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a situation where, that's going to get your heart pumping, whether that's a doe or that's a 12 point. I mean, that's an exciting situation to be in.
Well, and he's a good hunter, and he loves to shoot traditional archery, and it's just like, I said, how did you do that? Because I wouldn't keep my stuff together. I'd lose it.
It's tough.
I'm just being honest. I'd just be going, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, when I started bow hunting, and now that I've been doing it for so long, you do start to get control over some of those things to some degree. But there's still not a deer that I shoot that I'm not really wound up about, how close I am, and that's something I wanted to talk about later if we get a chance. Is what I love about this, what my passion is, and I'm not wanting to lose that, and I'm seeing people losing that, and that's something.
Well, let's talk about it right now. Let's talk about that passion, because it isn't about grips and grins. To me, hunting, and I've been at it for a long time, it's about the journey. It's meeting people and going to places that I never would book a trip to unless I was hunting, or getting in situations that I didn't belong in. Except I was hunting, so you're all in, so you got to get out. That's basically it. So talk about your passion for hunting.
Well, yeah, and that's what drives me, and that's why I started the company, because I wanted to make equipment available to people that gave them a better opportunity to be more ethical with their shots, to think more about becoming better as a hunter and an archer. And I see a lot of examples. You mentioned social media, and we're on there, and I see so much of a flood of pictures coming out all the time now. And I see questionable shots, shot placement, not that great. I'm not sure how they take down some of these animals with where the shot, impacted. And it makes me think about, what it is that drives me. And I care so deeply about doing things correctly, if at all possible. I want that deer, I mostly hunt whitetail. I want that deer to go down as fast as possible. I want to make as humane of a kill as possible. So I'm really passionate about showing the animals the respect that I think they deserve. And I don't know that that's the case with everybody out there at this point. And I feel like we're losing some of that. I do feel like at times people are not giving the time, practice as fully as they should, and put a lot of time in, not just pick your bow up in August Pick your bow up in April, March, shoot all year like I do. I mean, I just think at times, that's where, people are losing focus, and there's a lot of hype, hoopla, whatever you want to call it, over how big of a buck you shot and how many inches it was. And that's not what drives me as a hunter. It's about the experience. It's about being outdoors. It's about, I believe this is creation that we have access to, we should appreciate. And, I'm not sure that's shared by everybody.
Well said. And I think, this year I've seen a lot more of doe pictures. I've seen a lot of youth hunters, first year,
Yeah.
and buck or doe doesn't really matter. And
No.
the other thing, I had Kip Adams on earlier this morning, and a lot of mature deer are showing up on social media, and it's early in the season, and so let's talk about early season bucks. You said you just shot a nice buck a week or so ago. That's not during the rut.
No.
Huh?
Well, he was showing some rut-like behavior, though. Actually, it was odd.
What was he doing?
I have the rack sitting right here. Here he is. But yeah, he was coming in on a mission. I mean, it's a public land deer. So just kind of set the scenario up for you. It was Maryland, public land, and it's a heavily pressured area. These deer down there are very in tune with people's patterns. So typically, if you want to hunt during the week. Don't hunt weekends. They are trained for the most part to look up. They look up all the time. These deer constantly look up into tree stands. If you move wrong, if you're silhouetted too much, they'll pick you out. And but he came in on a beeline, with head to the ground for the most part, and he stopped quick about 17 yards out and did look up at me and had me. I thought he had me pegged. I stood stock still, and then he put his head down and put his nose back to the ground and started going broadside in front of me. I didn't have a call or any kind of way to stop him, and I had to make a split-second decision. I was at full draw and tracking him with the pin, and found the spot and let it rip and nailed him, double-lunged him, and went about 35 yards. But that was a thrilling experience on a really challenging deer, on a really challenging animal. That to me means everything. I don't care what this deer scores. That's irrelevant. It matters that I got a nice buck out of a really tough situation.
So how did you do that? Okay, Maryland, public land, DIY, and
Yep.
They're educated suburban deer. Because to me, Maryland is the suburbs of Philadelphia.
It would
DC.
sound you would think in this particular area I was in. This is pretty remote, actually. It's near a lake, and I was in a good half mile or more. Actually, I had to have some help to get him out. He weighed about 240 live, so he was pretty good size. But how I got him is, this is something I think people need to remember, is that if you keep in mind that deer are creatures of habit, and that your past experiences with them should to some degree indicate what you're going to see in the future. So last year I had a really nice buck, very similar to this one, in almost the same area come in. This was actually in full rut. This was in like early November. And he came in, I was in a climber, and this deer pegged me in the tree. I think I was silhouetted pretty good at that point, though. I was a full draw on him, though. I was at full draw. He was behind some brush. And I was thinking, just 2 more steps, man. You're at like 22 yards. You're dead. And for some reason, I don't know what happened, but he just looked up at me. And he didn't step out. He never stepped out. But that was one of those situations where, I said, I know this is an area that's somewhat of a runway. It's kind of a funnel where deer are definitely moving in rut. This is not an area you can go into in September and expect to see that buck. But they are using this area during that period of the year. So I went back in July this year and set up really great spot. I had an ideal situation, and it paid off. But that's what I think matters, is putting the time in, studying what they're doing, using their past experiences, and not giving up on a spot too. People give up on spots sometimes way too easy. And it's like, no, we know that there are quality deer here, and you will get your opportunity at some point. You may not see deer for 3 or 4 days in a row, but these deer will come back through here.
And so many people, I like how you said, don't give up, because so many people say, oh, where's the deer? Where's the deer? They're there because you can see the sign. You can see old licking
Yes.
branches. You can see old scrapes.
Right.
You can see old rubs. You know, not this year. I'm just in central Nebraska, and I thought I was going to see some fresh rubs and fresh scrapes and everything, and they just hadn't been opened up yet. But I saw licking branches. I saw everything I was looking for from past years. So I said, yeah, it's just a matter of time, and I'll be going
Right.
back there. You know,
Absolutely.
and I know right where I'm setting up and how I'm going to set up and how I'm going to hunt it. And you know, you do have to put in your time. The only thing there, I don't know how much pressure. I found one trail camera on the ground that I'm hunting, so I'm going, okay, there's at least one other guy hunting in here. I didn't find any tree stand.
That's the other thing. You know, you got a lot of guys that are scoping areas out, and in this area I was in, I mean, there are guys that would have possibly passed this deer up, but if you would pass the deer like this up, you would not understand the value of getting a deer like this on public land in this area, because
anywhere. I mean, anywhere. That's a great deer. You know, that's a great deer.
You know,
anywhere.
I feel like it is, but I see, again, you know, I refer back to social media. I see so many people talking about, you know, that's not my target buck, that's not my hit list buck, or that, you know, I'm passing this one up, I'm passing that one up, and I marvel at it, and I get a little frustrated with that, because, you know, I think that's just not the experience for a lot of people out there. You know, they're not in a situation where they have the time or the opportunities to pass up a decent deer. You know, and that's me. I'm running a company. I'm going to take an opportunity if I have it. And, you know, as far as trail cams and all those things go, I didn't have one. I didn't have one picture of this deer, and I'm glad I didn't. And I didn't have multiple cameras out down there. I'm glad I didn't. Made it more special. I don't have to see every deer in the area. I just need to see sign. I need to know that it's got potential, and I'll hunt it. And I'm almost shying away from cameras in the future, I think. I'm not sure that I like the direction people are taking that.
Yeah, that's it. That's, you know, we could talk about that for really a long time, and in the essence of getting, you know, to the other areas in the show. But that's a person's decision about how you want to frame your hunt and how you want to hunt. And see, the nice thing is it doesn't matter. Somebody say, "Wait, you got to use trail camera." Yeah, you do, but then you don't.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's just like, you know, I think back to Native Americans, and I don't know what tribes were in Pennsylvania, my American history. Susquehanna. So they didn't have anything. They had a stick and a string.
Yeah.
And they napped, their broadheads, and they knew how to hunt. They knew.
Right. And that's the thing, you know, is what's your skill set, and how are you applying it? And, you know, that makes me question at times the kind of products that we do, how far is too far? You know, I'm taking it to a pretty advanced level with titanium. It's giving you a little bit of an edge there over other products. Is that too far? I mean, I'm always questioning that myself. You know, I don't know. But I like what we do, and I like the fact that I feel like we can make better shots because of these products. But that's a great point you make. And, you know, a stick and a string will kill deer, but we like to take it further than that if we can. You know, so it's tough. I see a lot of that stuff out there, and I wonder if priorities are not off. And I wonder at times if even with kids, like I have kids send me, and I get pictures sent from all over the country with this now. We're running a contest at the moment where any big game harvest with a vertical bow, no crossbows, but we're going to give away equipment. And it doesn't matter if it's a doe or it's a turkey you killed. I don't care what it is. It's a random drawing. But I get pictures sent in, and a kid sent me one. I mean, I say he's a kid. He's probably 13, 14. I don't know how old. But he sent me a respectable buck, picture of a nice buck. And then he sent me another one, and he said, well, I got an even bigger one on my hit list. And I'm thinking, you're how old? And you have a hit list? And I don't think you fully grasp the significance of the deer you already shot. You know, a lot of guys I know would be thrilled. That might be a lifetime deer for them. You know, he's probably in Illinois or some state where, you know, there's a lot of opportunity. But that's where I see people having maybe misplaced priorities and not understanding the significance of a clean harvest, no matter what it is.
Yeah, I think of my friend that I started hunting out west with a long time ago, and I talk to him every time I have a birthday, at least once a year, and we talked about just a little about hunting and memories and all that. And he said, you know, it was so much fun just to jump in the truck, a couple $100 in your pocket, and you go out and you shoot an antelope and you shoot a mule deer, and completely no expectation, absolutely none.
Yeah.
You were going to go out there, and I like Coors beer, and I like sitting by a cottonwood fire, and we tended, and then we had a trailer. But anyway, we just went out there, the whole experience, shoot coyotes, shoot prairie dogs, and it was the whole thing. Meet some people, meet some ranchers, and just, he said, we've made it too complex now. Hunting's way too complex. And
it is. Think about all the gear you have. Think about all the gear people take with them now. I mean, so many items.
You should see my truck. I'm leaving for a month though. It's insane.
I'm not bashing on people because I have plenty of gear too. I got my rangefinder. I got all these items in my backpack. And I'm starting to think, hey, this backpack's getting pretty heavy. Like, shouldn't I be maybe taking some items out of here? That's what I want to be able to hold on to. And I want, in the future as the company grows, I want to have opportunities like you're talking about to have memories built on a really good experience, not just, not defined by the kill necessarily, but defined by what you do with other people while you're out there.
Yeah. And less is really more. And as you age, that really becomes important. But, I just think about back when I started hunting, it was really simple. It was a hoodie and some jeans and some sort of rubber boots. And then if it got cold, we put on another coat and some mittens and a cap.
Guys today would laugh you out of the building and be like, what's wrong with you? You're not wearing all your, the camo. Every item has to be camo too. Everything has to be camo. I deal with that all the time with our products. People say, well, do you have, XYZ brand in this pattern to match my bow? And I said, I can't have every item. I can't have every pattern. There's no way we can do that. Well, I don't really want it then. And that just baffles me. It's like you're choosing look over a performance.
Yes,
that's what matters to a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll flat tell you, and sometimes marketing does a good job. What gal's wearing it or what guy's wearing it depends if they'll buy it or not.
Oh, yeah. It's huge.
Whether it works or not has no entry.
Got no bearing. No bearing on it at all. Nope.
And it's crazy. And that's business. And folks, I get it. I'm not,
I do too. I mean, hey, you need to make your business go. I mean, you have to use the effective strategies to get people buying your product. But when it comes to stuff like camo, I'm in that boat where, look, pick any respectable pattern. Breaking your outline up is the key. Not moving too much is the key. But what particular pattern you choose? Oh, come on. That's personal preference. That just comes down to that.
I think of the Benoit brothers, and I read all their stuff and anything. Red plaid. That's all they had. Red wool plaid.
Oh yeah,
that was it.
I know. I had when I started hunting here in PA, I had hand-me-downs, red plaid wool pants, red coat. I mean, back in the day before they required blaze orange, that's what guys here wore. They wore those red plaids.
Yeah, and I had a Woolrich red plaid jacket I wore for years. Years.
Well-made product, a very well-made product though, and very warm.
Oh yeah, it lasted for years. I could wear that in the snow and whatever.
Oh yeah.
But folks, we're I guess what Sam and I are saying, think about why you're hunting. And I had a group discussion on that, why we hunt. And to a man and to a woman, yes, the kill, the harvest is all important because the food is great. Venison is organic. But it's the places that it takes you and the conversations you have with people when you're traveling, and it's the whole experience because it takes nanoseconds to pull the trigger.
I know, and that's just the culmination of the hunt. That's just the final portion of the entire journey. And it should not be the way you define whether it was a successful hunt. Last year, I mentioned that buck. I didn't get a shot at it. I considered that a very successful hunt. It was a little heartbreaking that I didn't get a shot at a phenomenal buck, but the fact that I planned it out well enough to get an opportunity to even get the full draw meant a lot to me on it. So I that's what I want to see more of, that we focus on that and focus less on, this trophy, that trophy, and just how many inches it was. Is it a Booner? Is it a Pope and Young? And, all those things. If you're able to do that, congratulations. My hat's off to you. That's awesome. But it should not be how you view success in my mind.
You've been handling your stabilizer there. So let's talk.
Yeah.
What does a stabilizer really do for a bow? No matter whose brand it is or what it's made of.
Sure.
What's the purpose of a stabilizer?
Well, to put it into scientific terms, you're increasing the moment of inertia on your bow. So essentially, what that is it makes the bow more resistant to being torqued. So by placing a certain length out from the riser, the further out you go, the more resistant the bow typically would be. Now, of course, you can go too far to the point where there's a little bit of a detrimental effect because you're not counteracting that with side stabilization, or maybe too heavy for the individual. But the bottom line is you're increasing the ability for you to hold that pin steady because of the extended weight on the stabilizer.
So we go from a rubber, a carbon, titanium. There's all sorts of competition out there, differences in marketing. You've got to differentiate your product from everybody else, especially if you're asking a premium for it. So let's talk specifically about your stabilizer and what difference a person's going to see if they use it.
Well, they're in most cases going to notice a different tone, frequency, if you will, of sound from their bow because of the way these react. Typically, people will say my bow sounds quieter. So the way we perceive sound, though, is kind of subjective. If you look at actual, like a frequency response across the spectrum of frequencies, which we've done, you can see certain frequencies are suppressed more with this product. And that is interesting, and that is something that I believe contributes to less spooking of game at the shot, is suppression of certain frequencies. So you will typically see a quieter bow, certainly a more controlled in your hand bow. I still see a lot of people shooting with wrist slings, and with these products, I really don't feel that, well, with today's bows even, I really don't feel that wrist slings are necessary for the most part anymore. People are comfortable with that concept, so they continue to use it. But we're not dealing with the old days compounds that wanted to jump out of your hand when you shot one. These bows are so much more controlled now. I would say that our stabilizers contribute even further to that level of control that you're able to have. So the bow just simply does not want to move very much. Titanium does a good job of that.
So you think about all the different components. I mean, with compound bows, and there's so many moving parts, and there's so much energy. I shoot a crossbow because I have a blown out shoulder, I wouldn't.
Oh yeah, well that's perfectly normal. Yeah.
That's a perfect thing. But there's so much energy in that 20 inches. I mean, because mine goes 380 feet per second. It's just like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Try to dampening that is a challenge.
Right. Oh, it really is. And in the crossbow world, that's an area, I'm actually looking at a prototype right now that would further dampen the noise on crossbows. So yes, there's a lot of energy there, and unfortunately, you can't put all that energy into the arrow, and you can't get all that kinetic energy dumped into that arrow. So where's the rest of it going? It's being emitted. You're feeling
it. To the rail. It's going to rail my limb. Yeah. That's where it's going.
Exactly. Yeah. And if we can further suppress that, well, then ultimately you get a quieter bow. So, and that's a goal. People want speed. They want speed. They want, penetration. They want everything. They want quiet, but you can't really have everything. You're going to have a trade-off somewhere. If you want tremendous speed, you have to have a lot of stored energy. And a lot of stored energy means there's going to be excess. It's not going to go into the arrow.
You're bringing up an interesting thing earlier about the best components allow you to practice perfect or have perfect practice. That's truth. And so we know that the average whitetail shot is 20 yards and under. Out west, yeah, you can have 100-yard shots. And yes, on some alfalfa fields or bean fields, you can have long shots.
Oh, sure.
But
Yeah.
the average is 20 yards. Yet we're setting up our bows to be capable of shooting 100 yards with the speeds today and everything and all the components.
Oh, yeah. Certainly.
Guys shoot 80 to 100 yards, in practice. But you brought up an important thing. Be able to stack your arrows and group your arrows at your chosen distance.
Right.
Then you come down to a 20-yarder. Then everything goes away, and you just focus on the shot, picking the spot.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's,
let's talk about that.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and talk about the importance of having the components to make you on target to build your confidence.
Right. So that's where it comes down to selecting accessories that, have to be within your budget, of course, but getting the best item that you can for whatever given application, I believe, is really critical. So, people put a lot of time and focus on sights. Guys will drop a lot of money on a sight and then maybe scrimp on a stabilizer. I see that a lot. Or they'll drop a lot of money on the bow itself, of course, but then outfit it with subpar accessories. You definitely do not want to do that. Personally, I'd rather buy a used, high-quality bow and put additional money into better accessories. I think you're going to be better off that way than outfitting it with poor accessories. So being able to have that level of confidence and having developed the muscle memory from the repetitive practice that you do with these products is important. Seeing the success that you can achieve with a good product like ours just builds your level of confidence. I mean, it makes it to the point where if you do develop that, you're not thinking, is there a chance I'm going to miss at that 20-yard? It's not even going to creep into your mind. You are so confident that you will execute the shot correctly. And I just think that comes with practice. That comes with having the right equipment. That comes with seeing the results. So it all ties in together, though. You can't extract one part and have this work. So that's why I recommend using the best stabilizer you can. Whether that's ours, hey, that's your choice. I don't tell people they need these products. If you want the best performance, I believe that's where you'll find it. But use what works for you. And if you choose another brand, choose the best one you can afford, whatever brand that is.
Yeah, and I like that because it's just, confidence is key. There's no question about it. And by having the best components on your bow, and that starts with your field tips and fletchings. I mean, there's so many different parts, and you have to go with the best. And I tell people all the time, they said, what's the most important gear for hunting out west? I said, your optics. Well, first your boots. First your boots, and then your optics.
Good point.
First your boots, and then because if your feet go,
if your boots are bad, you're screwed.
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you got to have good boots and you have good optics because you don't want to walk a mile just to get in closer on that bull, on that buck, or on an antelope, just to make sure that's the one you want.
Right.
You don't want to do that. Plus, you don't want to walk 10 miles when you could sit on a mountainside and let all the game come to you, and you can see, hey, there's no game in that basin after spending a day. And I know guys that hunt on a 5-day hunt, they'll hunt 3 or 4 days, they'll long-distance scout until as soon as they see what they want, they're gone. I mean, because they know the habits and stuff. But until they see that, then they're going to keep switching basins and places, to see, to find a deer. And that's a little hard to do with whitetails. It's possible.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, it's different. It's a different set of circumstances for the most part. The average bow hunter is only pursuing whitetails anyway. Yeah, I agree. I mean, different considerations, different priorities. But even so, you can place a list. You can make a list of which items really should be your top items when you're looking at getting the best performance from your bow. And, there's some things that people neglect at times. I mean, you even see guys that have really frayed bowstrings. They're not maintaining the bowstrings. There's different things that people, I think, sometimes neglect. And that we're trying to stress to people, and we try to educate people about is this is an area that you should not overlook. And you shouldn't just slap on whatever you get from the store and assume it's ready to go as is. A product like this has 3 ounces of individually removable weights. Well, that's because some people like that much weight on the front. Some people like even more. But I don't sell this with the idea that this is ready for your bow. You need to put this on, see what gives you what kind of pre-hold stability you're getting, but also see what you're getting on target and put it through its paces. And if you're using a side stabilizer, like I mentioned earlier, it gets even more complicated because now you have to factor in those angles that bar is running and how much weight's on that bar. And people ask me all the time, well, what's the right ratio of weights for my bow? This is the bow I have. I said, you know what? I can't give you a formula for that. I can give you a general idea, but I can't tell you specifically how much weight you need to put on your bow. That depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah, that's a whole seminar. That's a whole talk.
Yeah.
So you look at a bow, you go and get a top of the line bow, without mentioning any manufacturers. So you get the bow. What's the next most important accessory that you should have?
Well, I'm not gonna be biased here and just say it should be stabilizers. I don't really think that's. I think your release is a really probably in my view the next big thing, the release you choose, because ultimately that's the deciding factor to me is that you're really comfortable and good with a particular release that you use. And then, it can shake out in a number of ways beyond that, sights, rests, all variety of things. But I'll even go as far to say that the bow the brand is not important. Like you said, the manufacturer doesn't matter. If you pick a reputable manufacturer, one of their top end bows, you will be able to make that function very well for you, in my view. People are way too preferential on certain brands, and it's like that's the only one I can use. No, I reject that argument. I completely reject that. You can use a variety of options out there, but you still need to personalize it to where it's working for you. So I'd say the release is right up there, and then selecting good arrows too. You can't go into a chain store necessarily and pick up 6 arrows and just buy good arrows. And I don't know if you care if I mention brands that we use or not, but
no, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, but we have a co-op with Black Eagle, and I've had phenomenal success with Black Eagle arrows. I think they're really, really well made arrows. But there's a lot of other good arrows. But just buy a higher end item if you can. Find a way to do that. I'll have guys tell me, they'll say, well, in years previous, I bought a cheap stabilizer because I couldn't quite afford a better one. And I say, well, then just wait a week or two until you have a couple more bucks and buy what really will work the best for you. Don't rush out and grab something. That happens all the time.
And I think, folks, what Sam is talking about, get the best equipment you can get, but figure out the most important things and do some research. You got plenty of YouTube and Google. I mean, we have more information today than any pro shop can give you. There's great pro shops, but they only can tell you what they have. And if they don't have X, and you found out from people maybe X brand is what you need because of you, then you got to go find it.
Go find it. And that's the beauty of what we're doing is that we don't deal really very much at all with retailers. This is almost all direct to consumer model. And we've proven that it can be pretty successful doing that. And that's the beauty of things the way they are now. At your fingertips, you can quickly research what the opinions are on a product and get unbiased, for the most part, pretty good data on different products out there. And so you don't have to settle for what the local shop has. He may only have a couple options. And when it comes to accessories, shops don't focus much on accessories, on having a variety of accessories anyway. Products like ours, the shops typically feel like they're pretty set with what they have. And it's tough to break into that arena with what we do. So that's why I've driven us ahead on social media and online, and that's what's worked.
Well, Buddy Pyland and Ozonics, they're direct. And Ozonics, everybody knows Ozonics, and he made the decision, and Proas Apparel, Kersey Pike with Proas Apparel, they're direct. They did the big box thing and everything like that. Then they realized
it's hard to do.
And now they got they're very successful. Both companies are very successful. So if you're listening to this and you got a better mousetrap idea in the hunting industry, you don't need to be in the big box stores. You really don't.
No, you don't.
If your gear is good and you can market it
Yes.
and use the power of social media.
If you can market it, you can get a loyal following of people that are willing to talk about your product. That's a big thing. And I need to make mention of that. We have a brand ambassador team of about 150 people. We don't call them pro staff. I kind of I don't like that term. I don't really even like the field staff, pro staff thing. They're brand ambassadors. They've gotten our products. They bought them themselves with their own money, but they love the products and they talk about them all the time. You couldn't ask for better marketing than what these people do. I think if I were paying people, they may not do as good of a job as a lot of these people do. And that's something you can develop if you have a product you're looking to get out there, is get a loyal following of people that are willing to support what you do. And I think that's a big thing of what we were about too, is those people, they can talk to me. They can directly access me, and they value that I care so much about this, that I have all this passion about it. So yes, this is a good product, but they also have something else that they're attached to that means something to them. And that's really important.
Dan, we covered a lot of information, and I have a feeling, if you're willing, that we're going to come back and revisit this, because I like how you think, and I like what you've shared. One, about the passion, about being an innovator in the industry, but also how to bring product to market. And, we live in a changing time in the outdoor industry. And, do you go to ATA? Do you go to ATA?
I went to ATA. We exhibited twice at ATA. I made a decision that we would not go this year, however. That's we could have a whole podcast on that if we wanted to.
And which is good. And I had Matt Corbin on the show just a couple of weeks ago. He's the president. Yeah. And ATAI goes as press because I want to find out what people are looking at, what the trends are. And it's important for Whitetail Rendezvous for me to meet up with people and say, gee, that's interesting.
There's opportunities. There are phenomenal opportunities.
Yeah, it's a great thing. So saying that, Sam, this isn't the last time we talk. Thank you for your time. And
thank you.
On behalf of hundreds of thousands of listeners of Whitetail Rendezvous, this has been really fun. And we got to talk. Once you get that stabilized, I shoot a Excalibur.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll get you hooked up. Hooked up.
And I'd be more than happy to buy it. And because it does make a lot of noise. I mean, it's deadly. There's no question about it.
They're deadly, but that's their downfall. And that's something that if I can make a breakthrough, which I think I can, we got some real potential there.
Yeah, you do, because it's a fast-growing marketing segment. So on behalf of my listeners, again, Sam Shaffer with Titanium Archery Products, thank you for being a fantastic, awesome guest.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Hey, folks. Bruce Hutchin, host of Whitetail Rendezvous. Hey, I'm pleased to announce that Buckwild Coffee is continuing their sponsorship for 2019. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people every day go to Starbucks and buy coffee. Well, I'll ship it to your house. Yes, I'll ship light, medium, or dark roast, ground, or bean, right to your house. It's real simple. Just go to whitetailrendezvous.com/shop, pick out what roast you want, and we'll ship it out. Take a look at Buckwild Coffee, the finest roast in the West. Well, finest roast around the campfire, finest roast around your kitchen table. It's just flat out the finest roast you can get today. Order some at whitetailrendezvous.com/shop.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.